Most of Super Tuesday went as experts expected. Millions of Americans across 15 states headed to the polls to cast a ballot for who they want to lead the parties into the next election. President Joe Biden won big for the Democrats, and former President Donald Trump swept in the Republican race. But in a more unexpected twist, Trump's only challenger, Nikki Haley, says she's stepping back from running after winning just one state yesterday.
I said I wanted Americans to have their voices heard. I have done that. I have no regrets. And although I will no longer be a candidate, I will not stop using my voice for the things I believe in.
Republican candidate Nikki Haley taking her final bow in the race for the White House this morning. She's stepping down after winning only one of 15 states up for grabs in yesterday's Super Tuesday primary election.
I am filled with the gratitude for the outpouring of support we've received from all across our great country. But the time has now come to suspend my campaign.
As the only challenger in the Republican race, her stepping aside essentially hands the nomination to former President Donald Trump, who will once again face off with President Joe Biden during the U.S. election in November. But Haley pointedly did not endorse her competitor.
I congratulate him and wish him well. It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that.
Trump slammed her in a post on Truth Social, saying Haley got trounced last night and invites her supporters to vote for him as well.
Our cities are choking to death, our states are dying, and frankly, our country is dying, and we're going to make America great again, greater than ever before.
But Trump did earn the endorsement of top Senate Republican Mitch McConnell, even after the lawmaker said Trump was responsible for the January 6th, 2021 insurrection on the Capitol.
On February the 25th, 2021, shortly after the attack on the Capitol, I was asked a similar question, and I said I would support the nominee for president, even if it were the former president.
Trump's iron grip on the party's base remains firm, despite his multiple criminal indictments. He still needs just shy of 200 more delegates in order to formally clinch the nomination, but that should take a matter of weeks. In the meantime, the former president has turned his attention to Biden.
He's the worst president in the history of our country. There's never been anything like what's happening to our country. Today it was announced that 325,000 people were flown in from parts unknown. Migrants were flown in airplane, not going through borders.
Biden swept most of his races last night, falling short in the U.S. territory of American Samoa. There, entrepreneur Jason Palmer got 51 votes, and Biden just 40. Biden hasn't yet made a public speech, but posted on X, saying millions of voters across the country made their voices heard, showing that they are ready to fight back against Donald Trump's extreme plan to take us backwards. Every generation of Americans will face a moment when it has to defend democracy. This is our fight. Let's bring professor and political analyst Henry Giroux into the conversation. Henry, Nikki Haley stepped down last night, but didn't endorse her opponent, Donald Trump. What do you make of that?
I think it suggests a shift. I think as Trump became more strident and unhinged, she refrained from wanting to in any way endorse him at the moment. But I mean, she did say, of course, that she was hoping that Trump would come around and in some way suggest some support for her voters, which are basically suburban women and independents. I don't really see that happening. If she comes out and denounces Trump entirely and claims that she's not going to vote for him, she's going to lose a lot of supporters. And I'm not sure she's going to be able to stay in the Republican Party unless over the next 4 years, if Trump wins the presidency, he's so crazy and so destructive to both the planet and everybody else that she may emerge once again as a rising star. We have to remember that what Haley represents, and it isn't often talked about in the media, is that there is a split in the GOP, that the GOP party is not as unified as Trump often claims it is. And secondly, it seems to me that she is, while she's defined as an alternative candidate regarding Trump, that she still is engaged and supports a number of reactionary policies that fundamentally brought Trump to power in 2016 and expanded his mega group. So, I mean, she is not somebody, for instance, who we would define as an independent. She's certainly not somebody who is moving towards the Biden position. Her position on abortion, her position on in vitro fertilization, her position on a whole range of topics. It seems to me worth noting with respect to what she represents.
So without a challenger for the Republican nomination, what happens now?
In some way, American democracy is really facing a unique historical crisis, or what we might call an historic threat against fundamental rights, and a whole range of other considerations. Not to mention that the planet is basically, its survival is on the line with Trump. Biden is in trouble. I mean, whatever he's done for the economy doesn't seem to be getting through to the American people at all. The border issue is an enormous problem for Biden. He still has to be able to convince the American people that it's the Republicans who basically are holding it back. The youth vote is increasingly split over, of course, his disastrous policies with regards to Israel and Gaza, and the age issue, which I think is a stupid issue, but at the same time, he's got to, in some way, come to grips with this. What Biden has to do is he has to push two things. He has to push the fact that democracy is at risk, and this guy is an enormous threat to democracy all over the world. And secondly, he's got to amplify what he's done for the country. People have no idea. I don't know who his public relations people are. I don't know if they're hiding in a closet, but the polls are not good. I mean, there's some disagreement, and there's always the notion that polls don't tell the entire story. But it seems to me that, Biden's going to have to wake up and really present himself more to the American people and make it clear that that country can simply not elect this guy as the president of the United States.
It's looking more possible we could see a second Trump presidency. Is the world ready for that?
I don't think anybody's ready for that. I think the implications of that are beyond the unimaginable. This guy is waging a campaign on hate. He's using the language of dictators and authoritarians. He perceives his upcoming rule, if he's elected, as one that's basically defined by revenge and hateful policies towards immigrants and anybody who opposed him. I mean, he's a firm supporter of Putin and other authoritarians. This guy is truly dangerous. And there is increasing evidence that he's becoming more unhinged psychologically. I can't even imagine what will happen to the country and the globe if this guy is elected.
Henry, thanks for joining us today on Trending Now.
Okay, thanks an awful lot.